Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We have a list of 13 properties, and last night we helped a client named Michelle. Had a tough go with this market. I mean, if you want to talk about an analogy of what this market is all about, it was her experience. Very few people are getting their first offer accepted. They usually need to kind of see, it's like if the last one sold here, the old rules used to say, well, give them a little bit more, but, we're talking 50,000 jumps on the same model. So she was experiencing that, and I think she did really, really well with the place she purchased in Mississauga last night. So that was great. Had another 2 offers yesterday for the same client that didn't work out, but my message is hang in there. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that's true in real estate. It's true in the rest of life too. You stick to something. When it feels like giving up, you stick at it and you bust through, and something good will happen eventually. So let's talk about some homes. So 33 Whitmer is, we call it Green Life West Side, Green Life 2. The prices for the Green Life buildings, it's a lot like buying a hybrid car. You're paying a little bit more up front for it, but you're saving long term. So the condo fees are $157 in this building. A comparable sized unit at more than 1,000 square feet is probably somewhere around $350 to $400 in some of the older buildings. And so the value on this one, I think, is pretty good. This building hovers between 450 and 500 a square foot. There was a small unit that sold for way more than 500 a square foot, but sometimes the small ones aren't always the best comparables. The bigger ones will give you a little bit more of a stable footing for square footage measurement. So this one looks really good. The size of the unit, I think, is fantastic. And then compare that to something like this on Maple. It's a larger unit at 1,275 square feet. But you back the math up on a building like this, your condo fees are now, again, if you did a per square foot, it'd probably be high threes. This particular unit's 424 square foot, but the values tend to shift between 400 and 450. And that's pretty consistent across the board, even though I believe there are better buildings in that mix than others, right? So the same price range in square footage would have buildings that, to me, are just higher level. And so, anyway, that's what you find with condos in Milton. And somebody says to me, I want to buy a condo. I have a budget of $400,000. Then I'd say, okay, great. So that'll get you somewhere between 750 and 1,000 square feet. That's your budget right there, and it's almost impossible now to buy anything under $350. It's getting really hard. Even the 1-bedroom condos, maybe you'll find there was one listed a few days ago for like $319. Good chance that one's going for more. Now Bolingbroke listed for $1 million. Now there's that whole question here: is what if they listed for $999,900? And there's pros and cons to both, because $999 has 6 digits, $1 million has 7 digits. You can say, by putting it at $1 million, you're staking your claim in that territory, which is good. You're also straddling 2 different price ranges. So if somebody caps their search at $1 million, you're going to be the last one on that list. And then if someone starts their search at $1 million, they're going to look at that as their beginning point. So you get the advantage of both searchers finding your home here, versus if it's $999, it's only the first guy who would receive that. So it's I personally believe more in this approach, but I also think you need to look at what the competition's doing, and you also need to look at the type and the style of home. It's really a case-by-case thing. There's no hard and fast rule, but I really think that double bracketing is a real advantage for a lot of sellers. So I'm wondering what the advantage is of having the number 88. And you may or may not know, but the number 8 in the Chinese language, although there's not really Chinese language, there's 2 of them. Anyway, Chinese people strongly associate the number 8 with wealth and fortune. And just because of the similar pronunciation with those words. And the number 4 actually means something equivalent to death, as far as I understand. I'm not fluent in Mandarin or Cantonese, but anyway, that's why you see sometimes buildings won't have the floor number 4 or 14, depending on the population and who actually lives in it. And I've seen buildings in Toronto that will stop at floor 39 and then they'll start again at floor 50. They've eliminated the 40 floors completely. So I'm wondering if there's a bit of a premium. We sold a home in Toronto with the number 88, and it didn't appear to make a huge difference to it, but we definitely noticed the Chinese showing agents. There were probably more than we would have expected. So anyway, and they've priced it at $1,888,000. So that's triple fortune and triple good luck. This same model sold for 1.25 maybe a couple weeks ago. And I think this one shows even better than that. So they have a shot here. This is a Heathwood home, and they tend to command pretty good premiums compared to the rest of the market. Got some nice landscaping outside, and I think the future looks pretty bright for this home. Now, last one before we bounce, 3136 lower baseline, 1.6999999. So the way that you come up with the value for, I don't want to say, like, sometimes rural, luxury real estate, once you start getting to this point where it's not a subdivision home, you start looking at what's the value of the land and what's the value of the building. So if you're going to build, like, let's just say an average Mattamy house, Green Park, something like that, they're probably paying about $180 a square foot to build that. If you get into custom homes, I've seen homes that are as high as maybe $300 or $350 a square foot. In Toronto, even more, sometimes because the way you have to build on the small lots changes completely. So anyway, this one is a 3,900 square foot home. And so I don't know if that's total living space or if it's the top floor. It looks like from the size of this one, and based on the scale with the trees and everything else, it's probably 39 up here plus the finished basement. So if the footprint of this home, it's a triple car garage, it's attached, so we have a difference in size between the two floors. But anyway, you'd add in probably $30 to $40 a square foot to finish a basement like this. You could do it for 20 or 25. It's not going to be, I think, at the caliber of this home. So there's a bunch of outside shots. Beyond that, I don't have anything to say, because it says, there's all kinds of mahogany wood floors, cathedral ceilings, and none of that, I think, is shown in the listing. So, it may be something to go check out. But let's just say that this home was valued at, let's call it $250 a square foot. Decent looking home. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. 250 times 3,900 square feet would be, kind of between 900 and $1 million, just off the top of my head. And then you finish the basement, so the basement might have another, let's call it $50,000 to $75,000. This is just replacement cost too. And then you say, is the land on lower baseline for a 150 by 150 foot lot, is that worth $700,000? We've seen quite a few along Britannia that have sold that, really not a very impressive house, and they've gone for $700,000 or $800,000. So this one, actually, to me, without seeing very much, I would say that there's a chance that this one definitely could be worth what they're asking. And I've seen country homes hold back on offers, which is fascinating to me, because it's completely different than city market. And if you were to come in with no conditions, you're running a big risk, because no water tests. There's just more moving parts on a country home than there is on, a typical subdivision home from Sundial or Mattamy or, country homes or anything like that. So anyway, bottom line on this one, I think there's a chance it looks good, but without pictures of the inside, I have no way of saying. There we go. That's the list. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again tomorrow with more Milton Daily Homes. Thanks for watching.